interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Hello everybody, welcome to episode 107 of Not a Robot Podcast's DC Comics Review Show. As always, I have my amazing co-host joining me today, Rob. Well, I'll let Rob finish charging up his Kamehameha or whatever the hell that was. And Josh, how you doing? Yeah.
Heidi-ho, neighbors.
Today on the show, we will be covering the latest books from DC, and we hope you enjoy it. Make sure you stick around until the end of this episode to hear our top 3 books for the week, our biggest stinker, and to find out which title might just make the dump list. If you'd like to support us further, please visit buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcast for either a one-time donation or a subscription for access to our Discord, as well as other exclusive content available on the network. But with all that said, let's get into some news this week, starting with the comics world. Guys, what's new in comics?
I just want to say before we do that, I really wanted... my intention was to make that sound like somebody, like, when you're watching, like, a boxing match or a wrestling match, like, let's get... Yeah, I wanted to do that.
Oh.
In the back of my mind, I knew it was going to be fucking Goku. There was no way around.
Yeah, it sounded very much like that. And I don't even really watch DBZ, but...
Let's get ready to Goku.
Yeah, I love the DX version better, but yeah,
I like your spin on it.
Yeah, so good. I just want to bring up actually kind of a movie industry thing before we get into anything else.
If you I don't have any comic book news, just movie industry news. That's it.
Fair enough.
Which is weird for me. But.
Yeah, I haven't really. I've only seen the one thing on my end for comic book news. In the past month or so, there's been a lot of allegations with the VFX industry, claiming that Marvel Studios is very harsh and very demanding, and their treatment of VFX artists is abusive. And Marvel and Disney haven't really responded in kind, but it looks like, according to this headline, they're considering a new VFX plan after Backlash. So instead of trying to make amends and fix things, they're just going to go in a different direction. It's so friggin' cold, but...
Does that mean, like, using a whole new team?
It looks like, yeah, they're considering...
So they're like, man, fuck you. If you don't like it, eat a dick. That's... Wow. Do not mess with the House of Mouse.
You know? That's ridiculous.
Jeez. Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a thing that's happening. But that's fresh news, so there will be more coming out, I'm sure. And I've only seen one person report on it so far. So keep your eyes peeled for more on that, potentially. On the comic book news that I've got, Harley Quinn, the animated series, was renewed for season 4, despite the fact that we're like halfway through season 3. But I think they did that during season 2 as well. I think I remember that happening. So that's good news, because it's a freaking great show.
And it's comic book related, so that counts.
Yeah, exactly. And on over to Harley Quinn's Soulmate, the best book DC's putting out right now. Poison Ivy is officially extended to 12 issues for now.
Yeah,
great awesome news.
Yeah, hopefully
great news.
More down the line, but they have a second arc planned. See, it started with Swamp Thing. Now it's going to Poison Ivy. Let's keep the ball rolling here.
Actually, it goes back a little earlier if your memory is if your memory is deep. They had the
Justice League Dark.
No, it was why am I blanking on the name of the line? Wonder Comics. They had the Dial H series and the Wonder Twins series that originally started as 6-issue series, but I think because the interest was so popular there, or people just really liked reading it, or some kind of way, they ended up extending it to 12, which I think benefited Wonder Twins better than it did Dial H, but that's just a personal thing. But it's always nice to see when they'll extend a series that's just, it feels like it has a lot going for it.
Sure, and here I was assuming you guys were talking about the badass storylines, but nope, talking about run extensions. My bad.
I mean, the badass storylines are great too.
It's just I feel almost as if like the more stories that I get that are connected to some sort of parliament of some kind, the happier I will be. Like right now, I really want a couple of green books. I want the Poison Ivy book. I want Swamp Thing. I want one about what is Abigail's? She was just in Swamp Thing. Abigail's kid,
Tiffy.
Effie. Yes, I would like a book about her. I would like
They
a
actually
book
had
about
one
Animal Man
that no one
going
read
on right now.
No,
Oh yeah,
back
they had one.
Yeah,
They had
no
one.
one read from Brian
want
K. Vaughan
another
of all
one.
people. That's crazy. That's still crazy to me that he wrote Swamp Thing at one time. I've read it.
I
I'm
want,
not gonna
I want
lie,
that.
it's
Give me
not
Animal
very
Man.
good, but
That's bad to hear. I love
yeah,
Brian K.
yeah. Well, yeah, well, it is definitely very much a BKV book. I think the problem was it felt more of like Runaways than it did Swamp Thing, and I just I honestly didn't care enough about that, so I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this.
That's an odd way to write
more
for-
like Saga or Way the Last Man, not
Yeah.
youthful like Runaways.
Yeah, well, I get it because Tiffy was a young character, so you kind of want to play up that angle, but it felt like a very weird take on Swamp Thing, which I give him props for trying something original, just wasn't for me. Anyway, that sidetrack.
Yeah, I still anything. Give me anything connected to him. A Jack Hawksmoor book would be the shit. I would love that. Anything connected to the Parliaments, up to and including a book just about like the Parliaments themselves, not just their avatars. And I want a series where it's Jason Woodrow versus Anton, like a 12-issue series where it's just them fighting each other. That would be awesome. There's so many different stories that could spiral out of Swamp Thing. Sorry for going on a tangent, but I started once that happens.
No problem there. Yeah, hell, I want another Animal Man book, but that's just me.
Yeah,
that's all the news I've got. That's
Nice.
been a slow week.
From the mouths of Mikey Sutton from Geekosity and YouTuber Sid Aldul, who are pretty darn well, not 100% accurate. They usually save their remarks and their comments until something has been pretty solidified. Within a week or two, you'll see it in Rolling Stone, etc. But we've got pretty much where the dust is settling on the majority of the rumors within within Warner Brothers Discovery and how they're going to be approaching their movie industry focus from now on. David Zaslav is either shit canning or incredibly demoting Walter Hamada. His seat will be empty after the release of Black Adam. Hamada's plans did include a Crisis on Infinite Earths story to reset the DCEU, and that was going to happen like right after Flashpoint. That's what he was wanting to set up right now. That would completely detach the Warner Brothers from anything to do with the Snyderverse. Zaslav has come out and said, while Crisis on Infinite Earths is eventually going to happen, it's not happening now, and there will be no severing of itself from the Snyderverse. WB said on their quarters call that they will be focusing heavily on DC films. They are constructing a 10-year plan, looking for their Kevin Feige. Quoting Zaslav himself, as we look at the opportunities that we have broadly, DC is at the top of the list for us. He goes on to mention the IP that DC Films has, and he says that they would be missing a great opportunity to tell great stories. And then he mentions that they've done a reset and restructured the business. Seems to be a lot of question about what he means by we've done a reset. But from the looks of it, pretty much everything that people were excited for has been saved. Everything people was kind of like, oh, they're gonna make that. It's kind of been gone. From what I understand, Rob said earlier that they will be that the it looks like the rumor mill is saying Supergirl will be saved. Now, if we are continuing the Snyderverse, this makes sense. Where was it here that he? I wrote down a whole bunch of notes regarding it, but the the other thing that they were talking about was J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Productions part of WB. They had cut that deal, and we've not seen anything come to fruition. Apparently, it's a total of there's several episode based content that was going to be coming out on HBO Max, like Madam X and a new Constantine, but there was gonna be a Zatanna film, a live action Hot Wheels movie, Dr. Seuss's "Oh, the Places You'll Go," and the quote unquote the Black Superman movie that wasn't going to be Calvin Ellis, which bums me out because like that would be a cool movie. But anyway, all of that is still up in the air. There's no word on that. Everything else sounds like it is definitely decisions have been made, and they're looking to structure their DC films around the whole Alan Horn, Bob Iger plan of having a dungeon master and making it happen. So fingers crossed they mean it. They direct quote, quality over pumping out the movies. That good. They're only going to be releasing movies when they are good. There will be no pumping out movies, which is wonderful.
That's the way to go. I just have one very important question after that news break that I really need the answer to. Did you just say Constantine?
I did.
And not Constantine?
His name isn't Constantine, it's Constantine. Ask Alan Moore. Ask Neil Gaiman.
I've heard them say Constantine.
Ooh.
British say Constantine, but I swear I've heard Alan Moore say British say Constantine, but I swear I've heard Alan Moore say Constantine.
No, his name is Constantine. He's the most vocally adamant about that, like in the world. I'm pretty sure he doesn't want anything to do with that stuff now, but back in the day.
Once he writes something, he's done with it.
But yeah, Constantine. That's the right way to pronounce it. Oh, Zaslav has completely disowned the Whedon version of Justice League. That's no longer canon.
Well, that's
whatever that brings to the table. But what happened in Zack Snyder's Justice League will be a part of whatever happens going forward. Which seems kind of crazy. Now, I'm assuming the reset means that they're going to be resetting the universe somehow. Because you're talking about bringing back everybody, and that's intense. But anyway, there's about a bunch of speculation. It gets on everybody's nerves when we just sit here and speculate. Probably Brandon's the most. You can tell because he's so quiet.
I just have nothing to add. I don't know. I don't really care about the movie stuff. Or at least the extended universe stuff. So I don't really follow it.
That breaks my heart. I want all the DC films all over the place. I feel like that's what we should have got instead of Marvel. But hey, no such thing as a perfect universe. All right. Well, you guys want to move on to comic books, Brandon? Unless you had any news to share.
I have no movie news. And when
Did
I'm
you have
feeling
any comic
sad,
book news?
yeah, when I'm feeling sad, I just pick up a book and read. That always makes me feel better if there's a piss poor adaptation. I don't really have a ton of comic news. All I have really is just we got our first look at two covers and a bit of exclusive information on one. The cover to Dark Crisis #6, or excuse me, let me correct myself. Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #6. Um, and I was actually in my LCS the other day, and I saw them selling those fucking Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #1, like renamed or retitled issues,
Oh,
and it
geez.
nearly gave me an aneurysm. But I don't
It,
know.
it,
They'll do anything to scalp people out of money these days. But we got the cover for that. Looks beautiful as usual from Daniel Semperi and Alejandro Sanchez. And then the second one is first look at the closing two issues of the first arc from Zdarsky and Jimenez on Batman, that being issues 129 and 130, both on sale later in the fall,
both on
November and
sale and
December.
sexy as hell.
Yes, and we got a little bit of information as to what will be in those issues. And it's your standard solicitation. But one thing I found kind of interesting, one thing I flagged, is that in 130 at least, while backup stories can be hit or miss, some are great and some are not. This one I think will be pretty interesting. It's a collaboration between Zdarsky and Leonardo Romero, amazing artists. But the thing that really got my attention was that this apparently is going to be a flashback to the early days of Batman and his formation of Zur-En-Arr, which we've gotten context for the Zur-En-Arr story, obviously it being a Silver Age story from the past, and then it was part of the Black Case book and everything. But I don't think we've ever actually seen the origin of it. So it'll be interesting to see how that is ultimately spun, and how he first devised the idea to come up with a backup of himself that he stored in his brain, which is still wild. And I'm so glad that someone is running with that. I was very bummed that I couldn't be here last week to talk about it because RIP is one of my favorite arcs, and it's kind of disappointing that no one ever really picked up on that idea. So it's nice to see someone finally trying to use those threads again. But that's all I have.
Indeed. It'll be interesting to see what Zdarsky does with that. And there's still just, I want to let you guys know, there's still just a little bit of echo. It was Brandon's voice, Rob, so I think it's on your end. But yeah, Zdarsky coming up with a storyline like this is just, sounds so good. Can't
Indeed.
wait to see what he does. All right. If we are done with comic news, there's just a couple of comic books that I wanted to mention. Some were great, some were not so great, some were just there. Blood Syndicate Season 1, number 4, Future State Gotham number 16, and Urban Legends number 18. In my opinion, all great. Jurassic League number 4, though I'm sure the guys here loved that one. It's in the just there category for me. And Naomi number 6 of 6. It was no bueno. The whole arc basically was no bueno. There was a couple of issues that were all right, but overall, save your 6 issues worth of money on this one. And that is it for my mentionables.
Jurassic League.
All right. Well, then we'll hit. Oh yeah,
You liked it?
yeah. I don't know that I have anything else to add there. So if we're all set, we can turn on our spotlight and shine it on our first title for this week, Harley Quinn number 19, which I'm going to give over to Rob to summarize.
Gladly. Yeah, this is I'm going to say triumphant return to Harley Quinn, that we have left her on the dump list for a good number of months. But after taking a look at last week's first part of the Task Force Double X,
Task Force
we
Double
dive
X.
in. Yeah, because it's been interesting. So this is written, as usual, by Stephanie Phillips, so it's art from Georges Duart, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters from Andwell Design, and a cover from John Boy Mayers. So to recap the last issue, because we did not actually get into it last week, Harley was targeted by a new group of villains after her very brief stint in the Justice League, and they are targeting her to join them. This team is led by Luke Fox, and it consists of Killer Frost, Bronze Tiger, Dreadbolt, Lashina, and Verdict, who was from previous issues of Harley Quinn. And Harley agrees after seeing the pay she's going to get, but also on the stipulation that Solomon Grundy can come too. Now the goal is to head to the defunct Justice League watchtower on the moon and retrieve Element X from Apocalypse, which has started showing signs of energy fluctuations. And after they exit the atmosphere, a missile has started to target them. Now, in this week's issue, the missile was discovered to have been fired by the US government, since the craft they are in is unknown, and with the Justice League gone, nothing is being left to chance anymore. Dreadbolt teleports outside the ship and blows the missile up before it hits them, but he ends up dying in the process and hits the windshield like a bug.
Because the dipshit teleported outside of his spacesuit.
Yeah.
Dumbass.
The blast also knocks them off course, but Lashina, being a skilled pilot, is able to get them slightly back on course to the moon, albeit with a rough landing. They head inside the moon base as Harley does her best Captain Kirk impression to look for the elements, but instead are found by a gooey tentacle creature, which suspiciously looks like venom to me, and it attacks Lashina almost instantly. So my biggest question out of this story, as much as I'm enjoying it, the art's quite good, the plot's interesting, it connects to the rest of the continuity quite well. But why the hell couldn't Lashina just open a boom tube to the moon and be done with it?
A little Freudian slip there.
Oh, tisk crap.
I combined the words in my mind. That's all that was. Whoops.
Oh, I would have said that too. That's a pretty convenient excuse.
The point still stands. Do they have a mother box? The Furies? I thought they did. Or is it just Green?
Who all does have a mother box?
Sorry?
Is it Granny Goodness, Mr. Miracle, and then technically, I guess, Cyborg?
All of the new gods are supposed to have a mother box, if I'm not mistaken. But the Furies, the female Furies being kind of like a team with a specific leader and still kind of under Granny Goodness's boot heel. I'm not entirely sure, but I couldn't find anything online to say that each one would have their own mother box.
Brandon, what say you?
I mean, I'm not an expert on the Furies, but I would assume that most of them would have access to boob tube technology. But yeah, I can't say for certain.
Yeah. Well, that's just the thing that popped into my head. Why couldn't she open a boob tube to the moon and just go there?
I'm sorry, Kirby. It is a boom tube no longer.
No, it's now a boom tube.
Yeah.
It's a classic CRT TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what'd you give it?
Oh, yeah. I was so busy thinking about boob tubes. 8.75 out of 10. I really am enjoying this story. I'm happy the direction they're going with this.
Right on. I am glad to have Harley Quinn back in the show now that it is approachable again. I was gonna say another word, but we're gonna use approachable now that it is approachable again. This is an interesting team, to be sure. Seems like a pretty good story, and I've got no clue where this could possibly go. At least not for right now, anyway. So there is only one way to find out, and I will be sticking around to do so. As of right now, I gave this a 7 out of 10. But again, we'll have to see where it goes.
I gave this I didn't read it out of 10.
We knew that ahead of time.
I didn't have the chance to catch up with the rest of the series, or even the past couple of issues that would lead up to Task Force XX. which, I mean, it's Harley Quinn. The fact that they didn't do Task Force Triple X and really just go all out on the joke feels kind of
Right?
disappointing, but
Just a little.
really dropped the ball there.
And maybe
It's
Well,
like
what if
two-
they're saving that for the next iteration?
oh, yeah.
they already missed their chance. Like, it would have been funnier if this was the first one they did. Like, let's just. But maybe Task Force Triple X is a little too Deadpool. I don't know. But anyway, it's good to hear that it's approachable again. So I'll have to take some time out to catch up, and hopefully I enjoy it as much as you guys seem to.
Like,
Indeed.
I've been not thoroughly reading the issues leading up to it, but I've been flipping through them and checking them out. I don't
Yeah.
know that there's a lot of lead in from the Harley Quinn series apart from the introduction of Verdict. So if
You can
if
start
don't
from
wanna read
last
it, you
month,
could
or
probably
last week.
skip it. And
Yeah.
just jump
Yeah.
straight to number 18.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's probably
If
what
you're
I'll
a
do.
completionist, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I am that too. That's probably why. Like, I can't just do that. I do that if it's like an issue from 1997, but that's just because it's impossible to assemble the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But
Fair enough. This isn't impossible. It's just ultimately unnecessary to
yeah,
go
I
prior
would just
to
yeah,
18.
I would prefer to be more thorough about it, and that would take
I
some
understand.
time.
I can't. I mean, some people can, some people can't. I cannot, Rosmo. You certainly can, so have at it, kind sir.
All right.
But
Next up, we have Wonder Woman number 790. This is the conclusion of what is this art called? Does it have a formal name? The villainy of our fears is what I'm seeing in my
yeah.
copy,
Yeah.
but
I,
I've been calling it the milk plot or the psycho plot,
Right?
which
I
I
mean,
think
I
is
think
much
that's
more
all we've-
entertaining.
right.
Yeah, but in any case, this was brought to us by writers Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad, with art from Emanuela Lupacchino, Jose Luis, and Eduardo Pansica, with inks
milk.
from Wade Grawbadger and Julio Ferreira, colors from Tamara Bonvillain, and letters from Pat Brousseau. It's a freaking battalion on this creative team, so you'd
Right.
think with all this involved, we'd have a pretty standout story. Well, I guess we'll have to see. At Holiday College, whilst Etta Candy is still imprisoned under Professor Calculus, which is the stupidest name I've ever heard, she is able to escape, and with some help from
Somebody
Diana.
didn't like calculus.
Yeah, and well, actually, I was pretty good at calculus. Flex. I just don't like
yeah,
that name.
you know what? I fucking somehow knew that. I knew that.
Yeah, but the name Professor Calculus is not a good name. But in any case, with the help of Diana, is able to get the information that they need from Professor Calculus, being the location of Dr. Psycho's secret base. They're also able, or Etta, I should say, is able to free Steve Trevor and Ziggy. I called it. Did I say Ziggy or Siggy? I'm sorry, I have David Bowie.
It was kind of like a blend of the two.
Yeah. They're able to free Siggy, not Ziggy Stardust, from
Siegfried.
from Dr. Poison, and are then able to begin their assault on Dr. Psycho's base. Once Wonder Woman arrives and deals with Sweetheart, is her name? The Wonder Woman dupe.
That's what he calls her, yeah.
And are able to deal with her and have a long and tedious fight with Dr. Psycho. She's then able to smash the orb that frees, I believe, frees or kills Sweetheart. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know. If it sounds like my summary is lackluster, it's because there really wasn't a lot to this issue. We do get kind of an interesting tease at the end as they're resolving the rest of Psycho's stuff, and they're trying to figure out how to handle their next operation or whatever. And Diana is I guess going to go undercover as Agent Diana Prince again, or is pulling out that old secret identity. But I don't know. If my summary sounds lackluster, it's mostly because I didn't really care about this at all, um, which I know sounds really harsh. But honestly, the most enjoyment I got out of this story was the cover, which is a nice homage to the Hikatea. Um, but other than that, I really didn't care. So I gave this a 6 out of 10. The art was really nice. The backup exists. I'm not going to cover it because we haven't been covering it. And that's pretty much all I'll say about that. It exists. It is there. If you want to read it, you can. I wouldn't, so I didn't. But it is there. So yeah.
We've had plenty of convincing that we just can spend our time somewhere else better. Yeah, this book, I feel like it's the same as the rest of the entire arc, which was kind of pointless. Diana Prince at the end, this whole announcement, that's cool. We haven't seen that personality or alter ego or whatever in a while. But announcing that she's going to be that for the next operation, like she's revealing a long-awaited movie title, or like she's a superhero on a cartoon, like have no fear. That was a little weird. The ending was wrapped up, but there wasn't really anything to wrap up. There was a short dipshit in charge of some misogynistic stuff and evil milk, and then the whole I'm going to assume that this Brandon didn't name them, so I'm gonna follow suit and not name the person that was behind the whole thing. I guess you could say I'm assuming that this is who was in the TV, the static figure in the TV. I'm gonna assume that this is who that was, and they're in charge of evil milk extra. I think the whole premise is really silly. Ultimately really dumb. There's a million different other things that could have been used other than milk extra. The whole arc I'm just really disappointed in. There's really nothing I've enjoyed other than getting to watch Etta Candy whoop some ass. It was all really blah. It was good art, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. Ugh.
Okay, so I will also not bring up that kind of reveal at the end of the mystery person, but I will say I just hope that tease pays off because
I don't believe it will. I think that's a really weird direction to go.
it is a really weird direction. But then I was thinking about that Hippolyta mini that's coming up and how that could tie into that. So there might be a grand scheme of things coming.
Yeah.
But
Well,
see.
it's not like
That's
this
what
is the
I'm
first
really
time we've
hoping that
seen
pays
this
off.
person as an antagonist in Wonder Woman stories.
Yeah,
That's kind of why I want to keep it under wraps.
yeah,
Fair enough, and we shall do so.
fair enough. Yeah, this whole thing I'm realizing now kind of reads like a campy '70s storyline.
Yeah.
It's kind of fitting that they're going back in time to Diana Prince as well. So I'm really
Yeah,
thinking
and
of trying to make
it,
Wonder Woman just very retro again.
I don't
It's not
know.
really a
So
direct
here's the
comparison.
thing. If you go back to the odd years, back in the 70s with Batman and Superman, you're going to find some decent, pretty good storylines, nothing that's stellar, not on a regular basis by any means. You could do that with just about any of the major characters. You go back and find at least decent ones. Wonder Woman, though, you go back in time with Wonder Woman's and they make you go, oh. She was kind of relegated to some lesser roles, and it was anyway the taking it back in time kind of deal. I'm just not digging it. It's just not for me.
Yeah,
Well, unless she loses her powers again, dresses in like mod clothing and has to use karate. I would love to see them do that again. That's just because
It-
that'd be a twist.
I'm a weirdo.
it's a twist. That would be a way to have to usher in the rest of the wonders. She
Yeah.
goes and works for Steve and Etta at Checkmate then.
No, no, no. I'm talking like what was it? Like the 1971, 72 where she loses her powers and she dresses in like I'm sure you've seen it before, like super trendy clothing, and she trains under this guy called I Ching, and basically has nothing to do with any of the Themysciran or Amazonian mythos anymore. But is just like completely remade, and it was terrible. But it is
Yeah,
very
Street
entertaining to
Vigilante.
read. Yeah, it is very entertaining to read.
Oh,
Now that I
gotta
would like
check
to
that
see
out.
again. Actually, Tom King did a tribute to that era in the Wonder Woman like 80th anniversary celebration with Evan Shaner, and that was a fun story. That I think that really was like that got me going. I was like, if they could bring that back even for an arc, I would see what they would do. That feels like a Grant Morrison idea. Like just
Oh
just
yeah.
bringing in from every obscure. That's not really obscure, but from every era and celebrating it, even the ones that are not quite as good. But I think you can do it. I would do that, and I would get hate for it, but I would do it.
Do it. I would do it, and I would love doing it while I did
I'm gonna share one of my favorite
it.
covers in the Discord.
Ooh, perfect. Um, I'm gonna just speak on the backup before I get into my big question. I'm also just not reading the backup, but when I do check out the backup, I look at the first page and I look at the last page to get the gist of the story because everything in between is just people talking
Uh-huh.
and not much else happens. Is people teaching Diana something, and then you get to the last page and some big thing happens, and then the next one happens, the next issue happens. First page, everything's fine, and that's the fucking flow. So that's all you
Every
really
single
need.
time.
Yeah. So we have all these
Every
artists
single time.
on this book, and not one of them thought to themselves. So we have Cisco. He escaped from Wonder Woman. He's up on the roof trying to get a hold of the corporation. He's calling them. So he should be on the phone, right? So let's give him a landline. There's no box phone. On the roof, outside, there's not even a cable attached to anything, but he's talking to someone. Was it too hard to draw a cell phone? I don't understand that part.
I didn't see it until you pointed it out, man. But that was hilarious. Brandon, did you see it?
I did not see that.
Definitely check that out because it is ridiculous to look at. Of all the faults this arc has had, that is the one thing that just got me. So 6 out of 10.
Yes,
End
just
of the
for
day,
that.
6 out of 10.
Well, if we're done being sexist, let's go to a character who has nothing to do with Wonder Woman, Nubia, Queen of the Amazons. I'm gonna pass that to Josh.
All right. This is Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, #3, written by Stephanie Williams. Art team from Alita Martinez, Mark Morales, John Livesey, and Alex Guimarães on colors. Becca Carey on letters, and the cover is by Kerry Rudolph and Emilio Lopez. After a brief piece of the present where Nubia confronts Zilla and lets her know that she is remembered, that she remembers her, the book goes back to the past with another flashback. Still the same one. She's in Madagascar. It's a long time ago, and her name is Princess Zahava. Zilla is there as well, much younger, and she is like a little sister to Zahava. Basically, since it is Nubia, Zahava is basically the Nubia of that time, and Zilla is really upset when Zahava comes back dead from the battlefield. Present day, none of that matters though. They fight Zilla and Nubia. She nabs the other half of Sekhmet's amulet and splits. She like grabs it off during the fight. Nubia's Wonder Team. That's Yara, Cleo, Baya, Hawk Girl, and uh, crap, I can't remember the other two. Anyway, they are trying to figure out how to deal with the Zilla threat, and Nubia, of course, says she's got to do it alone. Yada yada. Art looks great. This issue, as silly as the setup was to get here, it wasn't bad. Remember that a tree falling on Nubia put her in the hospital. I mean, she's a frickin' Wonder Woman. That's not gonna happen. But also, let me point out that Zilla was a normal person given superpowers by wearing half of Sekhmet's amulet, enough for her to be able to be whooping on Nubia, who happens to be wearing the other half of the amulet. So, don't you think that Nubia would have had the upper hand if the amulet gives like powers?
I guess not.
I mean, I guess not. Do we know how many more are in this run?
I think just one more issue.
Just one more issue? Okay. All right, that's what I thought. The last part of my review here, I kind of sounded like it was a little negative. These are just little minor things that take a lot of words to say. I enjoyed the book. The art is pretty darn good in it, and I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10.
This issue seemed to fly by for me. So I
Yeah,
think most of it was just a fight with some dialogue. There was a bit more look into the past, and then just a tease for what the final issue is going to bring. So there wasn't much to it. It was very much a penultimate issue, but it was enjoyable. Art's pretty good. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, serviceable fight. That's entertaining, I suppose, but I don't really have anything new to say that I haven't said already in previous issues, which is, still kind of a dull read for me. So this one got a 7.
Yeah, dull is a good way to describe this story arc.
There you go.
That's too much. Well, what's worse though, dull or undead?
Well, I would rather be boring than be dead, or undead, I suppose. So, let's see what's going on in the world of the undead in Deceased War of the Undead Gods #1, the final, I think, chapter in the Deceased trilogy. I'm gonna hand that over
He
to Rob
promises
now.
that there will be no more after this.
Thank God.
Hey now. Well, let's find out who was right. Was my hey now justified? Tell us,
I
right?
think it was.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll say later.
There you go.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, here we go. Are you going, Rob?
I didn't have this one. Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure did.
What? Oh shit! Sorry, I was looking at the wrong note. Whoops! I do have it. Don't worry, I did write it down. All right, action. Yes, this is Deceased War of the Undead Gods #1. Thanks to my little slip up there, I was not paying attention to the right notes. So this is written by Tom Taylor with pencils from Trevor Hairsine. Inks from Andy Lanning, colors from Rain Burrito, letters from Saida Temafonte. So, planet Earth, we are back again. It has found new life, or rather, old life, as the cure that was found at the end of Deceased 2. Was it just called Deceased? I don't remember Deceased. What, if it had a subtitle? Either way, it's been passed around, and many people are brought back from the anti-life. Yeah, the next stop for the new Justice League, I guess you can call them, is Superman, who trapped himself in the middle of the sun. And after a bit of a rough fight, they do succeed without losing anyone to the anti-life equation, and they bring him back to a loving family reunion on Earth 2. Shortly after, Brainiac has arrived, heralding an end to the planet, but as it turns out, he was left in pieces as the new gods have turned to anti-life themselves, and he has instead come with a warning to prepare for the end. So, okay, for me, Fantastic Series is making a triumphant return. I think this one's going to be bloody. My big question is who's going to die first? And
I did Supergirl. Jesus
yeah,
Christ!
I was actually just going to say I forgot. When I was writing this earlier today, I was like, oh, I forgot to write down Supergirl, but then I got busy, and I just remembered I forgot to mention Supergirl. So yes, Supergirl.
I did
At
not
the
see them
very
killing her so
beginning.
soon,
Yeah, I mean,
and I
they
don't know
didn't
why. I should have.
specifically show it, I think, but she was
Oh,
definitely
well,
getting like taken, like run down by the new gods
yeah, yeah.
who
She
are
was
now
getting deaded, dude.
owned by the
100% for
anti-life
sure
equation.
getting deaded.
I think so, which is just crazy. So this, folks, is a Supergirl, fresh from Krypton, um, where she was rocketed away and then woke up. Instead of Earth, her parents sent her to New Genesis to live with the new gods instead of the
Gods.
primitives that Kal-El's parents sent him to live with. But when she arrived there, the new gods have been taken over by the anti-life equation as per Darkseid. Thank you, Cyborg. And is now...
All while a message is playing talking about how great her life is gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. So that's... And she dealing with new powers at that. Like, she used her heat vision and she's like, what the fuck? But it's just
Right?
like five minutes of what the fuck over and over again if you can end up on that planet. So, yeah. Okay, so I'll say who will die second. Because there's definitely going to be some deaths. Um,
Oh yeah, for
it's a
sure.
Tom Taylor book. It's zombies. It's gonna happen. Yeah.
It's DC's.
So yeah. And
I'll,
Alfred
I'll
is
say
quite sad
if
because
if
he
a guy
killed
can
his
make you
sons.
give a shit about Creeper,
Yeah.
then he can make you give a shit about anybody, and you need to have your defenses up.
Exactly.
That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
So I'm excited. It's finally back. It is, as they say, the final chapter in the deceased saga. We'll see if there might be another side book, like a 3-issue mini, maybe online or digital first or whatever. But I doubt it. This looks to be the end of the story because Darkseid's really the only loose end left. And now we know where he's been. He's been on New Genesis getting busy. So I gave this an 8.75. The art is as interesting and good as it has been in the previous chapters, and the storyline is just as interesting.
Yeah. Again, killing Supergirl right off the bat. I should have saw it when they started talking about her immediately. I should have just known. Oh, she's gonna die. That should have registered in my damn head. It did not. Clark coming back. The Alfred in this story that tug at my heartstrings. Brainiac going to the heroes on Earth 2 and asking for help. That was kind of like, whoa. The thing that I like about Taylor is the fact that he does pull stuff from way out in left field and makes it a story and throws in emotion and shit. And at least this kind of setting, it works really, really, really well. And the worst part about this book is that it made me realize that I never once even considered what the hell the new gods were up to or doing or being affected or anything while the rest of the DC story was happening. Never even thought about him once. Didn't cross my mind once. Not now. Now I'm being forced to think about it. The idea of zombie Orion frightens me.
Oh yeah.
And
Zombie Light Ray might be even worse.
What the hell? Art. The art is always good in the deceased books. It's always good wherever Taylor goes. This isn't any different. This also gets a small amount of bonus points for calling Clark Smallville. 8.5 out of 10.
All right, Brandon.
Oh,
What you
right.
got?
Sorry. Yes, yeah. Don't kill me. I also did not read this one.
Oh.
That was also a very deliberate choice because when DC's Dead Planet came out, was that 2020? God, it feels like so long ago. The sequel to
I
Deceased.
know, right? Yes.
I was reading that one monthly, and I read the first series monthly as well, and I realized very quickly, at least for me, that this is a book that I cannot read month to month because at least for Dead Planet, it was like pulling teeth. It wasn't terrible, but it was a story that I just really didn't like, and I was slowly getting tired of it. So, at least for this series, I'm just going to wait until it's complete, and at that point, I will finally finish the rest of the Well, I mean, I've read everything else up until, but I will finish the series proper. But I can't read this book as a monthly because it will just if I do, I'm just going to be really negative on it, and yeah,
I think we've
it's
talked
not,
about this before, actually.
Yes, I'm not a huge fan of Deceased, which I'm sure is not the most popular opinion. I thought the first one was fun, and then Dead Planet was just kind of a wash for me. But it kind of lost its novelty very quickly. But I'm gonna wait until this is a complete story, and then I'll go back, read the whole thing, and hopefully this will be more satisfying than the last one was. So I can't
hope
do a
you
monthly
find
again.
it that way too.
Yeah, it just after the last time, it was it was not pleasant. If I had been if I had been on the podcast with you when that book was coming out, you would have thought I had a personal vendetta against Tom Taylor the way I was bad mouthing that book month to month. I was just so, and I recently reread the whole thing like as a whole, and I was like, actually, it wasn't that bad. But I think just as a monthly, I was like, yeah, fuck this shit. So I'm gonna wait until it's all done, and then I will see what it's all about.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
At least you're still reading it, right? You're giving it. Its
I will,
fair
because
shake.
I want to at least see how it ends. Because
Yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned that the New Gods stuff was not even on your radar, because that was actually the biggest mystery for me, since there was like a whole plot in, I think, one of the one shots they did, and also in the sequel where they're like, Apocalypse is destroyed and Darkseid was infected, like from the very beginning with the virus, and they never really touched on that, and I was waiting for them to finally get back to it. So I want to at least see how that is all wrapped up. But
I just the longer the story went on, I just assumed that Darkseid was gone. If Apocalypse was destroyed, I started interpreting that as like it was literally destroyed and everybody's gone. I was like, okay,
no way. Yeah. So yeah,
That is not the
I
case.
want to see. I want to see
Now
how
we have
that
Zombie
all plays
Orion.
out. Yeah.
oh no,
Oh, zombie ambush bug.
zombie ambush bug. Don't
get
ever
into
say that
ambush
word
bug.
again. No.
Come on.
That's not
Unless
true,
Keith
man.
Giffen is doing that, I feel like that would actually be pretty funny. But I don't want to see anyone else do that.
He'd have all the negatives of being and taken over by the anti-life equation, just wanting to like attack people and scratch them, but still have his motor mouth.
Yeah.
Wait, a fucking amalgam comics where it's kind of sort of an amalgam comic.
That's why I would only want Keith Giffen to do it, because I feel like everyone else, they would make him emo, and that would just be lame as hell. But yeah, I feel like Keith would really like it. Would play it up as like, yeah, I'm dead, but like I'm still kind of a jokester, and that would be really funny to me. I feel like there's a lot of jokes that you could run with that. Like, man, and I thought being alive was bad.
Right.
That's only like the
35 different kind of brains jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone
about-
could really make it funny.
A zombie Deadpool versus zombie ambush bug.
Oh gosh.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it for the spotlight, eh?
It is. So before we get into our main reviews, let's take a quick break. So we will be right back. Stay tuned. And we're back, and we're going to kick it off with our first book for our main reviews this week, and that is Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 14, introducing the new character of Gossamer, although new maybe isn't the best word, so I'm going to pass that over to Rob.
Yeah, I'll put new with a little bit of an asterisk right next to it.
Yeah.
So this is Superman Son of Kal-El number 14, written by Tom Taylor, with art from Gian Tormey, colors from Federico Blee, and letters from Dave Sharp. So Lois is addressing the nation as the new face of the truth, revealing all the secrets Henry Bendix once kept secret, such as his superhuman program and how he's selling these new superpowered people to other countries for high values. And in preparation for retaliation, Bendix activates a shield over all of Gamorra. And, well, he was right to do so as the revolutionaries from the Suicide Squad have joined in full, including Zebraman. Yet this is the only time you see Zebraman. I was very disappointed about that. He didn't even, like, grunt. And nobody asked him why he looks like a zebra. I guess it's a Harley Quinn thing. I don't
Zebra
know.
Man?
So I actually have a point about that later, but we'll get to that. So
Zebra Man? You don't know who Zebra Man is?
I know Zebra Man, but specifically from Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad because they made a point about his power set in that book and why he's called Zebra Man instead. It was just a joke from Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Yeah,
Missed it.
yeah. Right, so as John meets them all, they work out a plan. Him and Jay begin telling the plan to the revolutionaries, rather. And he also sets the rule of no killing. But Osita, the leader, has an issue with that, as they typically do whatever is necessary to survive. And if a superpowered monster is about to crush one of them, they won't have a choice but do what they have to do. It's war. And as John states, those aren't monsters, they're captives of Bendix, and this isn't a war, it's a rescue mission. They're saving the people of Gamorra from Bendix. So the lot start to feel like John is against them, but then Damien appears to set them straight, and when he just says, when Superman is around, you just have to do better. That's the way it is. So they reluctantly agree to do their best, and John and Jay then head out to the fortress to grab a little something, a suit from the future. From a hero that is unnamed, John then gives it to Jay as everyone knows his identity in the truth, so now he needs to protect it while he's on this mission. And while they never actually gave him the name Gossamer in the issue, you could tell it was Gossamer from the cover. So he also gives him a ring, a Legion flight ring. That's all the ring is. That's all for now. They then fly way above Gamorra, and the plan is that Jay will fall past the shield and fly into a building housing the controls. However, John does not want to just drop him. So Jay literally slips through his fingers and gives him a peace sign and pulls off an impressive display of mid flight parkour, running past guards until he finds the control room, but it's surrounded by scientists, so he can't be tangible to push a button. John tells him to just tell them what's going on, tell him the truth. So he does. And what he's there to do, he's there to stop Bendix. So one of them agrees and helps them. So the shield drops and the revolution begins. And during the fight, Dreamer has a vision and tells John to go find Jay because he needs him. And he does just in time for Jay to meet his first foe as a fully fledged superhero, his own mother, complete with monsterized superpowers. So, lots of cool moments. I think the art was quite well. And I'm happy to see we've reached the point where we're getting to somewhat of a conclusion to a lot of the story beats. But my biggest question, and obviously I'm going in with the fact that I don't know everything about Zebra Man, I don't know his whole history, but just
I don't
from
know
Tom
anything
Taylor's
past.
story.
Yeah, that I
eh,
don't know anything past that.
Yeah, so I don't think he was a Tom Taylor creation. I think he existed before that Suicide Squad story. But his power set
Really?
there, if I remember right, was just teleportation. Or
Yeah.
no, was it teleportation or
Or
was it
no,
shields?
no.
It was like a.
Yeah, he could contain shields. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay, never mind. Yeah, for some reason in my
like
mind he could
he could make a
teleport.
bubble, like
Yeah,
the
that's
Invisible
right.
Woman.
Yeah. Okay, so never mind. Because I was thinking he could teleport, and I was like, why doesn't Zebra Man just teleport everybody in? But no, it's he makes a dome. That's right. Still doesn't make sense why he looks like a zebra, but the power set is really weird. Um, yeah. So I'm enjoying it still. Uh, it's not dragging as much now. We're going somewhere, so I'm happy about that. And the art is still, I think, quite consistent, at least compared to other books we have. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. Um, at this point, though, it's issue 14. I'm just curious to see where they're going to go after we're done with this. Yeah, it looks like we're
Other
getting near the end.
places.
It's it'll be. I'm just spitballing here. By the time they finish this, maybe 17, 18 issues. That's a year and a half worth of just this story. So where do you go from there? I believe Tom Taylor would have a plan, but he also tends to just write one story and then move on. So what's going to happen after that? I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, it does feel like it's kind of heading for a conclusion, like a conclusion, like the end. Which I that could just be total speculation, but I don't know. I reading this issue at least, I kind of got the feeling like this is shaping towards the ending, which would be kind of convenient timing considering that they're doing the big Kal returns thing, which would, well, I guess we'll have to see, but it would kind of give them a very easy segue into, and now, Superman or Clark proper is back on Earth and is Superman, and they can kind of just transition back to, having Clark in the main Superman title in Action Comics. That could be, again, that's just total speculation, but I don't know.
I can see how
Needless to
that's
say,
lining
it
up
feels
pretty
like,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does kind of feel like this story is heading to its conclusion, like Rob said. So,
Yeah.
I gave this one an 8 out of 10. It's better than previous issues. At least feels like we're finally getting to where we have wanted to be, like the big showdown with Gamora and everything. So, I'm hoping that this is not dragged out. But yeah, no. At least we're finally going places.
Man, yeah. Wait, what did you give it, Brandon?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. For me, the battle was on, man. It's the setup paying off, beginning to pay off in any case. That we got way back with Taylor's Suicide Squad, which I absolutely loved there. I've been waiting for the Gamora Corps to get their asses kicked ever since then. Jay's new suit, I think, is okay as far as like the all white and sleek, modern, futuristic kind of suits that we've been getting. Jay's is way better than Clown Hunters.
Yeah.
I at the end, man, I thought that they would be using his mom as a hostage. That is not the case. I did not see that coming, though. The crawl of the story may have gotten to y'all or to some people, but for me, it was definitely worth it. I loved it. 8.5 out of 10.
Right on.
All right. Well, with that, we'll move on to our next book for this week, Batgirls number 9. This is brought to us by a team from earlier before. I don't have a good segue for that. You kind of already know who they are at this point. But that is Michael W. Conrad with Becky Cloonan. Art this time from Neil Gouge, or Gouge. I'm not sure what the exact pronunciation is. Colors from Rico Renzi and letters from Becca Carey. This is, I think, kind of like a one shot, or I'm not really sure. It's not like the start of a new arc. It might just be kind of continuing the story, but not the start of a long multi-part arc.
I think it feels like it's just a filler issue with a setup at the last end.
Basically, yeah. But yeah, this sees our heroes kind of decompressing after everything that they've gone through in the past couple of issues, while also teasing some stuff to come. They've been playing out this Hill Ripper mystery, and we're trying to get some more information on that. But first, the Batgirls have to deal with KG Beast, and they have a fun little tete-a-tete with him. I gotta say, though, KG Beast, for someone who had almost killed Ronald Reagan, my God, you have fallen so far. Like, you can't even handle the Batgirls now. How pathetic. This is a guy who had assassinated 10 CIA officials and had Batman on the run, and literally almost had Ronald Reagan like in his death throes in 10 Nights of the Beast, which is a hilarious story. and these days he's fighting the Batgirls and can't even handle that crap. So I'm just saying, man, like Anatoly, your better days are behind you. Although
Ronald Reagan,
I guess
so
maybe
that
story
tells you.
isn't even.
Devil's advocate
Yeah,
here,
I
but
don't even know if
Ronald Reagan, so that tells you how old KG Beast is. All right. And let's face it, right now, KG Beast is like the busiest C-list villain in all of DC. This dude is everywhere. He's even a zombie.
Well,
right
I was
now.
gonna say with the sliding he probably didn't actually fight Ronald Reagan. It's probably like Obama now or something. I don't know, but my point is he
Right.
went from a nearly successful assassination attempt on a president to struggling with fighting the Batgirls in the hills. So, like I'm saying, how far we have fallen. But once they've finished dealing with KG Beast, they make their
Cassie.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Again, I'm just saying, like, this is a guy who had multiple plans, and now is like, can barely handle, the rest of the Bat family.
C-list, dude. You're
after
C-list.
they, yeah. Well, now he's C-list. But anyway, so after they made their way through KG Beast rather easily, they're, I guess, kind of shocked to find that Mr. Green, the man that they had suspected to be the Hill Ripper, is actually dead. And oh my God, all those bags that he was carrying around were just full of not body parts, not like real body parts, but just wooden body parts. Oh my goodness. So as it turns out, the Hill Ripper is still out there and is still quite a mystery. They're checking in with Babs and everything, trying to figure out, and that's when they uncover that at the scene of the crime, with all those prosthetics or whatever Mr. Green was lugging around, they uncover a secret letter that was in one of the eyes, and that letter is in fact coordinates that will lead to a location. But what will that location be? Well, I guess we'll have to see and ultimately find out in the next issue of Batgirls. As far as a I don't know, filler-ish issue, I guess you could call it. It was fine. Still pretty fun. I'm not in love with this art. Honestly, probably some of the weaker art we've had, but I think I was enjoying elements of the story enough that I was willing to give it a pass. But this as far as filler-ish issues go, this is definitely not one of the best. It's not one of the worst, but it's definitely not one of the best, and it kind of feels like, okay, we're just taking a breather before we really get back into the story, while also setting up some stuff. So we'll see how that all plays out. But it was just kind of a decent issue is how I would describe it. Like it serves its purpose, but it's not knocking down any doors. So I gave this a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's not knocking down any doors. I think it's funny. I thought the art is great throughout. I feel like this issue, it's like half filler, half setup for a setup kind of thing. That's almost, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but I feel like it stepped back and set out to do exactly what it wanted to do, which was just have fun with the story. With a little tiny bit of setting up the next arc. I actually enjoyed this issue. I've been warm and cold on this, but I like how they made it so that they've become like urban heroes rather than street vigilantes. There's people promoting them on radio shows now, saying people need to aspire to be like them. I feel like this issue better than any other out of the 8 or 9 that we've gotten from them. I feel like this one has had the best balance of narrative and humor, and I want them to keep like grab onto that and carry it forward with the series, and I'll be sold a whole lot more. It doesn't always have to be funny, but I mean, with these two characters, we expect heavy sarcasm, and then I mean, Babs is the original Batgirl. She's just as bad. She's just, we're used to seeing it with Dick. That's all. I really like this one, and I hope they keep it going. This energy here. 8 out of 10.
Um, I just need to point out that Brandon going off about KGB's, how he killed 10 CIA agents and gave Batman a run for his money and nearly assassinated President Reagan, and that story was hilarious. What was hilarious about that?
Well, I don't know. It's just it's a very dated story. I would say it's very wrapped up in 80s geopolitics isn't quite the right word, but it is
Cold
very
War
much a story
bullshit.
of its time. Yeah, it is very much a
Yeah.
story of its Cold War bullshit is how I describe it. It's very much a story of its time that could only exist then, and I think that's why I had so much fun with it because KG Beast is just at least in that story is the most stereotypical portrayal of the Cold War crusader, of someone who is wholly dedicated to the Soviet Union, and it just makes it a lot more comical where you have Batman thrown up against that, and it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, I gotta take a side in this eternal debate. But I think the thing that just made me laugh was like they talk about assassinating the president, but actually physically seeing Ronald Reagan show up, and they're like, "Yeah, well, like we gotta figure out how to keep you safe, President Reagan. Like we don't want KGBs to get you and cause international war between the Soviets and the U.S." I don't know. For me, I found that to be incredibly comical, and I would recommend Ten Nights of the Beasts with the caveat that it is very dated, and the more familiarity you have with 80s era politics, at least as is related to Cold War, the better you will enjoy that story.
So he's telling you that it'll
That's
read like
just
a
me.
Tom
I'm a
King
weirdo.
book.
No, not really.
Well, I mean,
But
I meant dated language and political talk.
well, I don't think Tom King is really dated. I guess sometimes he has political talk, but no, it's very much just like what you might expect from. Well, I guess it's not really true. It's not like
1980.
all books from the '80s were. Yeah, yeah. What I'll say is it's very much a product of its time.
Right.
It's a book that you could only really make at that time. Although I would love to see someone try and do a Ten Nights of the Beast in today's politics. Certainly
You
make for
could
an
make it
interesting
work,
effort.
couldn't you?
But although I
Jesus.
guess, well, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's why I find it very funny. To answer your question.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, okay, I was really curious about that. As for Batgirls, I can agree with you that KG Beast definitely got nerfed here a little bit. This is a guy that shot Dick Grayson in the head from God knows how many yards away with an arm cannon, but couldn't hit two teenage girls that were like 20 feet away. So, I don't know. Definitely more Arrow version of Anatoly than hardcore KGBs.
Yeah.
I don't know. Story though, I think was pretty cool. It was a welcome introduction to this story compared to the stuff we've had so far. I'm excited to see the future of this book now that we're past the intro stories and the magistrate nonsense. Let's leave the magistrate
Oh,
in the
yes.
past where it belongs. Let it die with
Please.
Simon Saint. We're done with that. Just it's alive in future state Gotham, and even then, it's only there by like mention only. That's fine.
Maybe that's what felt so different about this book is that it felt like it was a lighter read. It felt funner to read. Maybe it was just because all that shit was gone.
Maybe, yeah. It was being bogged down by fucking fear state runoff. Maybe
Nobody
so.
likes
I don't know.
runoff.
Yeah, it's going in a new direction. It's going in its own direction. It's telling its own stories, which is what it should have been doing this whole time, including for some reason Killer Moth. So I'm curious what the hell he's got to do with all this. Maybe the first word in his name has a lot to do with it. We will find out. The art was, I think, at least for me, an improvement, but I say that very loosely because I didn't hate the art in previous issues. I just didn't like Cass's cape. So this is a lot easier to view for me. So I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. this is definitely the pace we want to keep.
Cool. I will say one final thing about good old KG Beast. There is a very entertaining follow up to 10 Nights of the Beast that I actually read recently, where there is a protege. You might even call him KG Beast's Robin, called, and I kid you not, NKV Demon, written by Marv Wolfman and Jim Aparo. And the plot is basically the same as 10 Nights of the Beast, except this time he's killing Soviet operatives. So Batman has to go to Mother Russia and work with basically the Russian version of Jim Gordon. And it was definitely the highlight of, I think I read that in like July or something. And it was definitely the highlight of my month. It was very entertaining.
Oh, I gotta check that.
I believe that's Batman 445 to 447 if anyone's interested. But yeah, and NKV Demon. You can't make this up. You really can't.
NKV Demon.
Yeah. Although the more entertaining thing to me was, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but the basically the Russian version of Jim Gordon. I want to say his name is like Nikita something, but I don't remember his last name. Yeah, but it was also very entertaining. So if you read 10 Nights of the Beast and you want to follow up, go read that. And there's some really cool covers from Brian Bolland, so that's also worth it. Oh. All right, that's all I got about that.
Yeah, it's Gregor Dozinsky.
Was that it? Oh, I was way off.
Igor.
Gregor Dozinsky.
You know, he looks like a weird mix of Deadshot, Deathstroke, and a demon. It's really freaking weird.
Yeah.
God.
NKV
Interesting.
Demon. Oh my god!
Demon.
I wish I could be that clever.
Oh, he was attempting to assassinate Mikhail Gorbachev. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, it's essentially the same thing. It's just now we're doing it in Russia. But it's really just an excuse to get Bruce to go to Russia. So you have a little bit of international intrigue and that sort of thing.
There's one actually from the New 52.
Yeah, that was in like an annual, I think, or something.
I was unaware of this.
I don't remember that. It's not actually showing me anything about him.
Just he was there.
I believe that was in the it was like the annual where Alfred had died and one of his old friends had come and something like that, I think. But
apparently, according to DC Fandom, the New 52 version, his first appearance was in Aquaman and the Others #7 in January 2015.
Interesting. What an odd title for him to pop in on.
Yeah.
Now I want to go read it just to find out why.
Yeah. I
would say read
read
his first appearance in 445. That to me is ultimately the more entertaining one. Honestly, I would say that's the more stereotypical portrayal of the Soviet agent of that time. But I think that's just because, well, I shouldn't say that, so I'm not going to. Anyway, that one is also very entertaining.
All right. Well, I guess we can move from teenagers to adults. At least
I'm all right
mostly.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're on the topic of Batman, so let's talk about Batman.
Well, I am Batman.
Probably not the Batman.
No, I am Batman.
I am Batman.
No, I am Batman.
I am Spartacus.
Doing a Spartacus moment. Yes, you're doing a Spartacus. Thank you, Rob.
Awesome. All right. Well, I am Batman, #12, written by John Ridley with art, colors, and cover from Christian Deuce and Rex Locus with Troy Patiri on letters. Starts out with the question, Renee Montoya basically explaining that They're there to investigate Anarchy's murder, and she's asking permission to do so. Jason's a little confused. Renee explains the dynamic of how, that's how shit works in Gotham. And Jace says, well, he's not that Batman. The two of them then talk to Detective Chubb, who is less than pleased that there's another mask in New York City. Then they start their investigation with Morris Caulfield. The trail goes deeper as the two continue to investigate, and they find Danny Chan, a protester and organizer, was picked up by a special task force the night he was found beaten to death. And that task force was led by none other than Mike Keenan, who is the same detective that Batman and Chubb have been having issues with. Same one that wanted to shoot Batman. The same one that Chubb did shoot. Meanwhile, Little Tiff is morphing into a little vigilante sidekick, and it's not even hiding it a little bit. I love the art. I love the story. I like where it's going. If they would have introduced this as somebody other than Batman, I don't know that it would have had the fan support that it does have. I want to say I hope that it would, because these are really good stories. But regardless, I am Batman, the next Batman. This Batman is badass, and I have not quit loving it yet. 8.25 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm loving this. I keep saying the new direction since we got to New York has been fantastic, and this is no different. We're giving Jace a crash course in detective work, and I'm all for that. If he's definitely going to be a new Batman, the one thing Batman should always be is a detective. The one thing that kind of stuck out at me is when Jace and Renee were interrogating that guy on his private property. And the second, he said, Tanya Fox, not Tanya Fox. Oh my god, I can't remember the name.
Damn.
It was Tam. Okay, Tam Fox, and he just says, "Keep her name out of your mouth." Like, why? Why are you doing that in your costume? Did you forget you had a secret identity, or was this did John really just do a dig at Will Smith though?
Don't you talk about my mama.
Like, at least Jace didn't just go up and slap the man. Like,
right.
I don't know. I thought that was weird. Like, I understand wanting to
epic.
protect your sister and everything, but wait till you're like away. Like, go complain to Vol later. This guy was talking about my sister. Like, I get it, but you're in costume,
Like, man. I was this close from slapping the teeth right out of this dude's mouth, man.
It was completely out of left field for me that he just blurted that out, and then nobody even gave it an eye bat. Nobody brought it up. Not even Renee said anything. They just ignored the fact that he just all of a sudden Batman cares about Tam Fox. It was really weird. Apart from that, though, I think it's a really good direction. I'm excited to see see a new Robin potentially get Jace a little bit of a sidekick. We'll see how that goes. For this issue, though, 8.5 out of 10. Maybe even 8.75. I'm just really enjoying it. It's good. I like this new Batman.
Yep. Me too.
Oh, I have nothing new to add that I hadn't said in previous months. Still kind of dragging story for me. I like seeing Renee Montoya. I think they have or Jason and Renee, I should say, have a great dynamic. But I don't know. It's still not really doing it for me. So I gave this a 7.5. I feel like I'm not really the fair person to even talk about this book. I feel like it's just not working for me. But it was, and it had moments where it does, but I still just I can't really get into it. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, that's a bummer. Brandon's like, I wish you guys didn't like it so we didn't have to fucking read this thing.
well, it would definitely make my life easier, but I don't know. I mean, I have hope that maybe it could pick up, but nah, It's not right now, at least.
I mean, do you at least feel it's better than when he was in Gotham in the first 5 or 6 issues?
Marginally, but
Yeah.
yeah. There have been moments where I'm like, yeah, this was a really good issue, but for the most part, it kind of feels like, to me at least, dragging its feet. So, but I don't want to shit on it endlessly, especially if you guys really enjoyed it. So, um, yeah, no, it's just not my cup of tea. And speaking of things that are not cups of tea, Dark Crisis. Wow, that was terrible. I don't even know what I was going for there.
Dark Crisis,
Dark
Worlds
Crisis,
Without a
Without
Justice League. Now, did they
Yes.
just kidding, Dark Crisis on Infinite Frontiers, Worlds Without a Justice League this?
I forgot to look.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, you
Like
know how
they
they went back
altered
and
the title.
retitled the old Dark Crisis
Oh,
books?
they did not. No, they did not.
No, so
Yeah.
these
This
ones
is still
don't get
Dark
the
Crisis.
these ones don't get the special. Just kidding.
Now
like,
that would truly, yeah, no, that would truly be a scam if they went back and retitled every single book that they've put out with the Dark Crisis branding.
well, I mean, since they've done the announcement, you would think that the books that they're putting out right now would have that branding on it, and they do not. That's
Yeah.
why
Well, I don't think they're
huh?
going to do that much. Also, that is just a huge waste of paper. But
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah, no, this is Dark Crisis: Worlds Without a Justice League, Green Lantern #1.
White Knight, Red Hood,
Also
Black
featuring
Sox.
Hawkgirl. This is brought to us by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art from Fernando Blanco, some really nice colors from Jordi Belair, and letters from Troy Peteri. This is a story that's honestly, I mean, for all the world building that is a part of this, which seems to be par for the course with Philip Kennedy Johnson these days, his world building is almost always what I flag about his stuff. But yeah, for all the world building that goes into this story, it's actually a very quick and quite fast read. At least it was for me, and can be summarized fairly quickly. The Green Lantern Corps that exists on the John Stewart Green Lantern Earth, known as the Watchtower, or at least a elite subsection of the Green Lantern Corps, known as the Watchtower, are fighting off a horde known as the Radiant Dead, which are all led by a malevolent entity called, and I completely forgot, so that's why I had to remind myself.
Radiant
The Bright
Dead?
Revenant. Yes,
Bright
the
Revenant.
Radiant Dead. Yeah, the Bright Revenant. They are completely screwed, or at least it looks that way. And they need to call on their savior, their last minute protector, John Stewart, who on this earth is known as the Guardian. I got that right? That is his name.
Yes, and then the group of the aliens was the. Oh shit! I just said it. What was it called
I
again?
thought they were called the Radiant Dead.
The Radiant Dead, and then the
Yeah.
baby was the Bright
Yeah.
Revenant.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that what?
Yeah.
Did I not say that? I thought I said that.
I think I was just trying to keep that straight in my head. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. The baddies are called the Radiant Dead. The goodies are the Green Lanterns, known as the Watchtower, and the big bad is the Bright Revenant. So we're all
Big-ass
good. We're all
ugly
caught
baby.
up. Yes, and John Stewart is the Guardian who is almost like this Messiah, this savior figure who comes to save them in their time of need, and has done so in the past, which is further spelled out in a story that John's mother is telling his sister. And basically, John goes, helps his fellow lanterns, at least his fellow lantern team, and then that's it. Like, that's the story. So as I say, it's not a very, I don't know, it's at least for me, it was a really quick read. Like, John goes to fight the Bright Revenant, has a pretty easy time with him, given that he is the guardian and the savior, has his accolades, flies back to Earth to reunite with his family, and then that's it. And I don't know. I actually really enjoyed it. For as short and as brief as it was, like, I feel like you could do a whole series of stories set with this concept, and I love the idea of John. It's only briefly mentioned, but I love the idea of John going through the multiverse as like a lantern protector. That in and of itself is just such a great idea that I would love to see explored. But I know they're only gonna do this one shot. But for all the great ideas, it was just a really short story, and so that's
right?
kind of why it ultimately falls short of its full potential. So, well, I gave this an 8.25 out of 10. I feel like were this, let's say, an annual or an 80-page giant like an Elseworld story or something like that, where they really had a full story that they could do. I feel like this could have been something really really special. But for now, it's kind of like a fun, enjoyable alternate take on John as he's living on his own Earth, under Pariah's control. But again, I would love to see this concept further explored. They did that with Johnson did the future state House of L story that we covered way back when we first joined the show. Rob, I don't know if you
Right.
remember.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great idea, a great concept, like a legacy of Superman. And the fan response to that one shot was so popular, they actually brought them back for an annual in Action Comics that I think we covered, but I don't remember.
I would
So I don't
imagine
know.
we
Maybe
did.
maybe there's a chance that they could bring this world back. But I would love to see it. I feel like there's just a lot of great concepts here that they could run with. There's also the Hot Girl backup, which is by Jeremy Adams and Jack Herbert. This one can definitely be summarized in I won't say 40 characters or less, but basically it's not very long. Hot Girl, at least on her Earth, is Hawkman. Essentially, she is an archaeologist, kind of, but also with an Egyptian twist. Well, I guess she's always had Egyptian roots, but I think this time it's even more emphasized that everything that had been in the past is kind of forgotten, and all the reincarnations and all that stuff is being wiped. And at this point, she's just sort of free to enjoy her life. And we see her tackle some skeletons, makes quick work of those, and then that's it. So Hot Girl is doing her thing on her Earth. We get a brief glimpse of that, and then we're out. I guess the thing that people will probably talk about is the last panel with Pariah, where he's sort of laughing and is clearly spectating the whole thing, and you can tell that Pariah is still keeping a close eye on all the heroes, and I imagine that that's probably what is going to get people interested. Like he's still maintaining an active control in the Justice League, and we're all just waiting to see how they'll break out. But for now, he's keeping a close eye on them all. But I thought the backup was fine, serviceable enough, but nothing special really. So that one I gave a 7. But the whole thing I'll give an 8 actually, because I did, again, conceptually, I really liked the first story, and I would love to see more of that world. But I imagine, unless there's just a huge cry of support from fans, I imagine we probably won't see it again, which is a shame because I feel like done in an oversized, a one shot or prestige format one shot or something, classic Elseworlds annual or something like that. It could have been a really really cool story with
Hey,
John. And this
we're in
world.
DC, man.
But,
It's theirs. Somebody will always pick up some story later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, I would love to see this team, do another one.
That would
But,
be cool.
I'm not holding my breath.
Um, all right, so basically, John prayed and something made him, because I couldn't figure out who. I guess it doesn't really matter. John prayed and he was given these amazing lantern powers, and it looks like he can bring people back to life. I was confused going into this though, because I just assumed that Hal going to John's fake planet in the lead up to that book would result in Hal being in this book, but it totally did not. He's not even in it for a second or even referenced. Um, in the Hot Girl story, I feel like this one carries implications because while losing their memory, which I mean, this is something, it depends on who's writing it and what decade it is, but Kendra sometimes does and sometimes doesn't remember everything. Sometimes she's got amnesia. Sometimes she is a co archaeologist with Carter. Um,
Well,
but
Shayera, I think, was the co archaeologist. Kendra, oh Lord, no, let's not even attack that, because I could try and break down the Hawks history, but we're already
There's
like at
nothing
the
more
end of our main
confusing than
reviews.
Hawks
Why
history.
do that? Yeah, no, I
oh no,
I'm
no,
like,
no, no!
we
I would,
could,
dude.
but I don't
If
want
we
to
could
do it.
sit
Yeah,
there and get taken to school on Thanagarians, I am down for a whole episode of just listening to you do that. For real,
suffice it.
I'm
Yeah,
not even playing.
suffice it to say, I'll make a long story short. Shayera, who was the first incarnation of the Hawks,
That's
let's
Hawk Woman.
simplify,
Yeah.
was traditionally the archaeologist. Kendra, who was, I believe, distantly related to or somehow related to Shayera, had the memories of reincarnation, but was never actually, experienced the lives of the previous Hawks. I feel like I butchered that, so if I at some point we could do a full thing, but I'm not even going to do that. But anyway, Kendra is not the archaeologist. Shayera usually was, and Shayera is on Earth with the JSA right now, I think.
Okay. Yes. 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 She is. All right. Anyway, Kendra lost her immortality. For some reason, it seems like she's gonna be an important part. It feels like she's gonna be an important part of the story, like she was in Death Metal. Not sure why, but I mean, I guess let's see what happens. It wasn't a bad book. I just don't see how I really don't see how either one of them connect to the outer story at large. It's just done in the loosest of ways. But both stories were really good, and both of them had great art. 7 out of 10, I gave it 7 point. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a cool world, bro. Cool world.
Cool world, bro.
But
Gotta get that on a T-shirt.
like I'm still going into these with a completely different idea in my mind of what I thought was going to happen, and that it was going to be not just here's what's happening on these worlds, but it's going to be like a concrete tie-in to what's going on in the main story, and just teases to greater machinations instead of just like a last panel tease at something that nobody knows what the hell's going on besides Joshua Williamson. Um, we saw the cover to Dark Crisis number 6, I think it was, where it showed the Justice League in their Worlds Without a Justice League versions heading towards Earth together. So you get the sense that this is all leading to something special. But for each of these individual stories, it's kind of just dull. And I don't know what the point is because, like you said, Brandon, it would be so cool to see more of this, and I'm so down for this. As for this world, it is very interesting. All the different things they have going on and different character styles and backgrounds. There's a lot to explore here, and we're not getting any of it. But also, like you said, Josh, I am also disappointed that last week we saw Hal appear on that world, and yet you'd think he'd be in this issue, but he's not. So again, it's not tied in directly at all, which is just
It's just it
kind
feels
of
confusing.
disappointing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm seeing
And
now
I'm
that these
I'm with
stories
you
are.
guys. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but
Yeah,
before I forget about saying it, the dynamic of what's going on with the Green Lantern stories in like current mainline DC right now, I feel like they really need to take a whole bunch of inspiration from what's going on in this book and fix the shit that they've done.
yeah.
uh,
Like don't make John an actual literal god because that's a bit too much. But follow
yeah,
that
Yeah,
suit. Yeah, and I'm
I
seeing
still
that.
think Multiversal Lantern is a great pitch. Although, again,
Multiversal Lantern. I'm
that's
I'm
probably
all about
Oh
it, dude.
yeah,
that's
that's
probably veering a little bit too much into the Morrison territory, because they kind of did the whole like, let's team up with a bunch of different Green Lanterns from different universes. And I know I know some people didn't like that, but fuck them.
Oh,
So
I don't know
I'm sorry,
who.
Rob. Um,
They what they need to do is
but yeah,
get
I still think
one
it's a good
person to
pitch.
volunteer to be merged out of every single Lantern Corps, and they will become the ultimate Lantern. They'll just become Spectrum, and
And that'll be
they
Kyle.
well, kind of, sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he would be the better one, but
Yeah.
John's a good idea too.
Yeah.
I
It
know.
was funny we were talking
I'm just
about
partial to Kyle.
Multiversal Lantern, and yet today I decided to just reread some of Wrath of the First Lantern, who was from like Earth 12. If ever there was a Multiversal Lantern at this point, is Volthoom.
Oh
Yeah.
God. I think I had
um.
enough of Volthoom reading Wrath of the First Lantern.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, didn't he come back in that there's like an arc in Green Lanterns where he's
Yeah.
like
I.
something,
Fuck that.
or was it Volthoom's ring? I don't remember.
It was Volth. See, this is where that whole, I enjoyed Green Lanterns, but this is where it gets
Mhm.
convoluted, and I think that's why people didn't like it because it's very fucking confusing. I have
Yeah.
no
Especially where
fucking
the
clue.
Guardians come into play.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it would definitely play fast and loose with a lot of continuity, but
yeah,
it's that feels par for the course with Lantern stuff these days. I mean, even you pointed out, like, for as much as I love that run, the Morrison stuff was pretty disconnected from everything that had happened in Howls and Pals, especially that the ending. So, um, yeah, I feel like that's par for the course where you just have someone come and is like, I kind of just feel like doing whatever the hell I want. I
yeah.
don't really want to do what you did, and I don't really care what you did. So I'm gonna do my own thing.
And Anna Boo Boo. I
Yeah.
hate that.
I am all for a Grant Morrison Green Lantern, but if it's like the main continuity stuff, it was a bit out there. I don't know, for me. Anyway, for this though, these stories though, I'm getting the feeling, yeah, it's to show us what each member is needing to give up when they come to and come back to the real world, just to like tug at our heartstrings, like John giving up global peace and Clark having to give up spending those missing years with John and being a family throughout his teenage years, and that is definitely something
Mm.
that is heavy, but something about this whole idea just feels off, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but I think it's just the fact that it's weird, disconnected, and random, and I don't like it. But something, I don't know. The Hawk Girl, I
There's
think, also
something
had a
there.
pretty cool story, but I find it weird that her ideal world is just being mortal. I get that resurrecting and having all these lives can be a bit daunting and probably weigh on you a lot. But I'm still surprised that that is like the dream world. Is just I if I die, I die, and that's what I want. And why did Pariah get so happy about specifically that? It's I don't know. This was weird. I'm enjoying the worlds, but if this is the only time we're gonna see these worlds, it kind of sucks. So I don't know. 7.5 out of 10. That's what I'll give it. I feel like that
Well,
wasn't
then
really a
that's what
review.
it's
It was just
got.
me complaining. I don't, I don't even know what to say about these stories anymore.
Well, I do have one thing to
Dark
say just about the
Crisis,
title,
indeed.
and then because I was just thinking about what you said about maybe what was the point of these one shots, and the title of the book, not to get like all English student, but the title of the book is Dark Crisis: Worlds Without a Justice League, not World Without a Justice League, because we're not looking at Earth Prime and seeing what the world
Yeah,
is like. It's all these different worlds that don't have a Justice League but have one hero acting as the protector in some way or another.
yeah,
And it's, I guess, giving us visions of if these people were kind of on their own but still had elements of their own mythology as a part of them, just not the Justice League, what would that look like? And as that ties into Dark Crisis, I guess we'll ultimately see what the point is. But as a concept, I don't think that's a bad thing. But I
no,
do agree, at least with you, Rob, that Maybe it does kind of have to serve some purpose down the line. Otherwise, it would
So
feel kind
I
of
mean, so
pointless.
basically, it sounds like there is no purpose to these books, though.
Yet.
It's just like they're almost Dark
Well, yeah,
Crisis. What
we
if?
don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I mean,
We
well,
won't know
again,
until
as a
maybe
concept, I
October.
don't hate that. It's just, yeah,
Well,
if they're sort of painting them as being important and instrumental, then I guess we're all just waiting to see how they're going to be an important and instrumental. If they're not,
yeah,
then they're just fun. I guess, yeah. I almost said otherworld, elseworlds style stories of what if all these people were heroes, but just without the context of the Justice League, which again, as fun one shots, that's
which they
cool,
don't
but
need.
you don't you don't need to slap a Dark Crisis label on that if that's the case. Just like I
Yeah.
said,
Right?
just
It's
put out an
misleading.
Elseworlds annual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a concept, very cool, but the execution, very poor.
Yeah. Well, I would say the execution with the context of Dark Crisis. Although,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
maybe you just didn't enjoy the story. That's also fine. I don't know.
I mean,
But
I enjoyed the story. I just, as a tie-in, yeah, with Dark Crisis, it just kind of bogs down on it. If it was just its own
Doesn't
yeah,
make
Elseworlds
sense
like they
for
did
it
in
to
the
be.
'90s with the
yeah,
Elseworlds
like
books,
if
and it was like
yeah,
triple
if the
sized,
Dark
yeah.
Crisis label was not on the book,
Hmm.
it would
Totally
probably
different
feel like, oh yeah,
interpretation.
this is just kind of cool.
Yeah,
But
Yep.
it's the fact that it's there. But anyway, we've talked this one to death. Let's move
yeah.
on to our top three books of the week. Starting with you, Josh. What were your top three books?
Number three, I Am Batman. Number two, Son of Kal-El, and number one, Deceased. All of them were excellent, and it was really tough for me to pick them. Deceased wins out, man. That one just gets me every damn time. I don't care what you say, Brandon. My favorite
That's fair
moment my favorite moment actually comes from Batgirls though, where Steph is whooping on KG Beast and she goes, "Aw, you thought you could take the Batgirls by surprise? I love that for you." That's exactly how I read that when I read the captions. I thought that was hilarious. So that got my favorite moment this week.
Right.
What
For
about you
me,
guys?
I had a bit of a surprising one. Number three, I had Future State Gotham. I thought getting to where we're going, this being, I believe, is the last story arc, I thought it was really cool to finally see all the Batman show up and get ready to have a brouhaha. Number two, I had Harley Quinn. Again, surprise.
Honey
Really
Boo.
enjoyed it. And number two, or number one, I also had Deceased. Everything you already said, Josh. It's a fun book. Watching all these heroes get eaten. For favorite moments, oddly enough, I was debating because I couldn't think of one that stood out. So at first, I was going to put as a favorite moment, Cisco defying all logic of Graham Bell's technology and using a landline outside. But instead, I decided Darkilocide was just fucking fantastic. I had a good chuckle about that.
Excellent. How about you, Brandon?
Number three, I had Batgirls. Number two, I had Superman, Son of Kal-El, and at number one, again, just one that I definitely enjoyed more than most of the other books this week. Even if I would have preferred a longer version of it. But that was Dark Crisis, World's Justice League, Green Lantern. Again, great concept, pretty solid execution. Just if we'd gotten more of this, we'd had a longer version, it would have, I think, been something really special.
Yeah.
Favorite moment definitely goes to John facing off against the Bright Revenant, and just blasting the crap out of him was definitely something really cool.
He just
So
flew. I did love the way like and it didn't feel stupid or cheap, but how he just basically like flew up there, went smack smack, and then flew back home.
yeah, no, that's what I was like. It was so decisive. It was almost like a bit. Like all right, I'll just take care of this monster. I'll be back right quick.
Yeah.
Yep. That was funny. It was a good story. It wasn't. If it had no, like you said, if it had no attachment to Dark Crisis, if Worlds Without a Justice League was just a new Elseworlds label, this totally would have been taken a different way, and also been
That would
totally
be a great Elseworlds label. My God,
right. And this could have easily been stretched out for 3 to 6 issues.
Damn.
Oh, yeah. Or even if they made it like a graphic novel format, and not even. Like
I
a
know,
single
right,
issue, just,
Brandon?
like,
It's a
one
great
big
idea.
No,
solid
you know
book.
what I know. No, I was thinking because because I just finished it recently. Well, refinished it, I guess I should say. Seven Soldiers of Victory, which is like that meta series idea of like, okay, here's the first like one shot of the story, and then a bunch of mini series that are all under that story, and then we finish it with that one. And I'm thinking
do
like,
that?
what if you did a meta series for
Can I do
Worlds
that?
Without a Justice League?
Yeah.
That would be such
I'll
a
see what
boy
I
can
can
dream.
do.
I know Brandon could do it if he had your
Definitely.
help.
Yeah, let's
Oh
do
man,
it.
yeah.
I'm down for that.
I'll keep spiraling if I keep
Let's
thinking
do
about
it.
it. But anyway, that's a great idea. That's why I like having you around, Josh. You always have good ideas. I'm not creative enough.
Not creative enough. I come up with the ideas, you write them. Is that how this works?
Yeah, that's how this works, and I'll take credit for it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's
It's
horrible.
like Lee and Kirby. You give me the ideas, and I'll take the credit.
Ooh,
Ouch.
ooh, shit.
That ain't. You deserve that. Oh man. Speaking of things that deserve a bit of a boo, you guys.
Were you mad because I said Lee stole from Kirby, or are you mad because it's true?
No, I'm mad because it's true.
Yeah.
Brandon's like, why are you booing me?
exactly.
I'm right.
And I was about to say that. Oh, yeah. And I was like, why are you booing me? I'm right. You know I'm right. No, I'm right.
Okay, so it's messed up, but like I want to love Stan Lee because he's such a beloved dude.
Oh, I still do. But I mean,
but
it's
just
true.
like
I mean, he
I don't
stole ideas.
love him as much as like I guess the average person does. He was very influential. He made a lot of things happen. Stan Lee is behind a lot of good stuff, but he was also a very ruthless businessman, and he was not shy about being a thief whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, I
Basically.
knew that the first time I ever realized that Challengers of the Unknown was created by Jack Kirby, I was like, oh yeah, Stan Lee did not create the Fantastic Four. It's just facts. Like even if personality wise he was able to give a lot of them elements of their character, which he probably did, and that's why I do think of their collaborations as a partnership. At least with some ideas conceptually, I'm like, there's no way you came up with that, because you look at the Challenge of the Unknown and you look at the Fantastic Four, and I've already made this joke before, but it's literally like that meme about The Office where it's like corporate wants you to tell the difference between these two things and you can't. Even if there are tweaks in the history, like that concept of the four explorers, it's just so similar. It's like there's no way.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain there was some kind of conversation where Jack was like, hey, I had this idea of the four characters, and DC didn't really run with it as much as I wanted them to. And Stan's like, well, we could do something like that. That was a terrible Stanley impression. And then the Fantastic Four was born. But that's a whole other topic of discussion. We can move on to our stinky portion of the evening.
I think we just split it down the middle and just read Challengers of the Fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Which is a delightful read, by the way.
Indeed.
And then cleanse your palate.
As is all the Amalgam ones, as cheesy and corny as they can be and are. And
yeah,
strangely enough, there's an overdose of Batman in those too.
Oh yeah.
More than any other character, but they're fun.
I think my favorite is still Spider Boy. Spider Boy.
Spider Boy.
Again,
Yeah, that was an
it's
interesting
genius.
one.
I wish I could be that clever. Spider Boy and Doctor Strange Fate. God,
Dr.
I wish I would
Strange
that
Fate.
Strange
clever.
Fate was interesting.
Doctor
Yeah.
Strange Fate. Oh, that's so good. That is so good.
Super Soldier, I found kind of dull.
I still haven't read that one actually, but
I mean, there's
Oh, you
I don't
need
know
to
if that
read
was just out
combinations,
of
but
fear and anticipation. Yeah,
like
Did
Red
you read
Skull
Bruce
was
Wayne,
the
Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Kryptonite Skull.
I did, and that one is also delightful.
Yeah.
Amazon. Oh man, there's so many of them. I love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I've got them all. I wish maybe I could take pictures of them. And
No, Doctor Strange Fate. I think that one's definitely my favorite. That is just so good.
It was so
You
90s.
can't say that name without smiling.
Yeah.
Great Doctor Strange Fate. That's good, but I suppose we should talk about the bad, eh?
I
Yep.
suppose.
All right. It's time for
Oh, that's nasty.
Sure is. It sure is.
Yeah. Wonder Woman. That's I'm just gonna
Mine's
come out
Wonder
and say
Woman,
it.
no question
Wonder
about
Woman.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's Wonder Woman, no question about it. So
Yeah.
Mine is Wonder Woman. With
there we
one
go.
note.
just
The same kind of silly, unimportant story that works for Batgirls does not work for Wonder Woman. You're going to have to take a different approach or just stick to Batgirls. You guys are doing a good job on Batgirls. Quit doing a bad job on Wonder Woman. Stop it. Stop it now.
you can have whimsical Wonder Woman stories, but this is not the way to do it. This is
No.
not the way to do it.
No. Save whimsical stories for when she's doing shit like fighting Grail.
Yeah. I don't know that I would call that whimsical, but it definitely
Yeah,
has
it's
elements
pretty
of
deadly.
whimsy. Let's say that.
It does. It's
yeah.
whimsical to me.
Although, again, I'm just saying, if you really want to go for the big swing, bring back the aforementioned 1971 Powerless Wonder Woman, where she fights using karate and dresses in trendy clothing.
What
It's
a
there.
Mod
It's on the
Squad.
table. You want to honor the legacy.
It makes
Let's do it.
sense.
Yeah.
There's more than enough wonders to go around.
And I know there were accusations that it was incredibly sexist, which it was, but I think there's a way you can kind of reclaim it. I know there is. There has to be. So
Well, yeah, she loses her powers and she doesn't want to stop helping people, especially when her best friend and her ex-boyfriend and her other ex-boyfriend have their own spy organization of which she's pretty much a part of already.
Yeah.
That would just be the perfect transition. I mean, if that was to happen, now is the time. Give Brandon what he wants, DC.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can bring back the invisible jet.
yes, bring back I think his name is I Ching. I want to say his name is I Ching. He was in Morrison's Batman like for a brief moment. I think they just like reference that he exists or he shows up for like a panel or something. And my thought was like, well, if he's still there, if he's still in continuity, then that has to mean that this ridiculous mod era Wonder Woman happened at some point in the past. So, you know, maybe it's time for a proper reunion. Maybe she goes undercover and she runs into I Ching for some reason or another, and it's like, oh my god, I haven't seen you in years. How have you been? And it's a very classic reunion, and I Ching's like, I didn't even know you had become an Amazon again. I thought you were still running around in fashionable clothes, and I'm spiraling. But my point is, there's something you can do here.
They scrapped that whole thing from existence. It never happened before. And then she goes out and she's trying to find, after she's lost her powers, she wants to make sure that she is the honed warrior that she thinks she is or should be. So she goes off and she spars with everybody and finds herself a match for everyone. She kicks Steve's ass, she kicks Siggy's ass, she kicks Batman's ass. She's kicking everybody's ass, right? And then crap. Where was I going with that? I think it was transparent.
And then she goes to the store and buys more trendy clothing.
And then she,
Perfect
no,
issue.
no.
10 out of
Oh,
10.
then once she gets through all the people we would expect her to try and spar with, she goes and fires I Ching, and he trains her to be the better.
After she
warrior.
buys trendy clothing.
After she buys trendy
This
clothing.
is non-negotiable. This is non-negotiable.
has to
You
have-
Hey,
understand?
Gal Gadot.
It's about the aesthetic of the era.
In the Wonder Woman movies that we recently have gotten, she's worn trendy clothing, so it totally fits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just expect it of the character.
It's not. It's just not. She's not wearing like retro seven. She's not like someone who's obsessed with like a retro aesthetic. She's wearing trendy clothing of today, which is what I think would be more hilarious. Like if you marry the new and the old, so it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna run around in bell bottoms and other clothes that would be very dated. It's like, well, I'm going to be as trendy as I was then by wearing popular clothing, but
And her clothing is
what are we even
outfitted like
talking-
James
oh,
Bond's
we're talking about
cars.
the biggest stinker. Yeah. We just
Biggest stinker.
completely lost the plot there.
Wonder
Yeah.
Woman stunk. That's the plot.
Yes.
The
The
build-up
point
is
is
all
Wonder
gone.
Woman stunk because I Ching was not there and because she wasn't wearing trendy clothing. That's why the book wasn't good.
That's
Not because of the milk plot.
it's par for the course.
See, even Rob's dog agrees with me.
Actually, I think that one might have been mine.
Oh, maybe.
All right, I guess that is it for the biggest stinker, is it not, guys?
Yep.
Yeah. That's it.
All right, we want to wrap this one up then?
Yeah, well, I mean, did we want to throw Wonder Woman on the dump list? I know we talked about that last month. We were going to give it one more issue.
That is up to you guys. I would be okay with it, but knowing that this is the last on the arc, do we know anything about a creative team change? Do we know anything about a
It is
direction that the book is
staying the
heading?
same.
Yeah, creatives are
The
not
book's creative team is staying the same.
All right, we will heretofore remove this vile book from our review list.
Yes.
It will be flushed. Yet closely monitored by me, and should it return to its former glory, we will be happy to bring it back in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a plan.
I want to flush it again.
Okay. All right, now I'm just having
I
fun
think you
with
just
myself.
like using that button.
I
You just
do.
like using that button. Of course. Expected. All right, gentlemen. Well, if there's nothing else to be said about the books this week, then we will call it a day and wrap it up. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we hope you'll stop by next week for next week's DC books. Remember to go to oh my god, why is the website not here?
Not a robot
Remember-
podcast.com.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I have the Buy Me a Coffee one, and it's not here.
Oh,
It's buymeacoffee.com/NA. I mean, it's the top of my script. I don't know why I'm trying to come at it from memory. God. Remember to go to buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcasts. Again, for a one-time donation or subscription for our Discord stuff and Substack and all that. It's a lot of great stuff that we have available, and it's definitely worth your time. And I promise we make less mistakes than this. So trust me, you'll be getting your money's worth. But with that, there's only one way we say goodbye around here. Until next time.
Be good to each other.
and don't be a robot.
Every time I see one of those fridges with the tablet on it, I always think of that episode of Silicon Valley where Guilfoyle is trying to hack the fridge. You ever watch Silicon Valley?
I have. I haven't seen every episode, but
Fucking love that show.
Was that Jin Yang's smart fridge?
Yeah, it's Jin Yang Smart Fridge. Gil
Yeah.
Foyle spends the whole episode trying to hack into it and succeeds.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my god.
it was fantastic.
I'm gonna have to get back into that show.
Where did you end off?
The end of season 1.
Oh fuck, with
Oh man.
the jerk off equation.
Jesus. Yeah, I think
That'd
so.
be fantastic. Yeah. Oh my god, that one clip.
We actually-
that
we
one
tried
scene
to-
made the entire show.
Yes, a couple of friends and I actually tried to like tried to break down that whole formula. So we're like, okay. So like theoretically, if we were working with a different D2F, and it was like all this like insane bullshit. And I was just, oh my god.
I mean, how
It was
like,
it was the thing that you could only do when you're just completely bored and you have
Yeah.
nothing else to do, and there's a whiteboard right near you.
Break it down.
I know you're in college. Are you in college or university? Well, you're in post-secondary, basically.
That was high school actually.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, that was
yeah.
high
Just
school.
hearing the word like whenever you got a whiteboard near you, I never have a whiteboard near me, but I kind of want one.
Oh yeah, no. That's what I mean. Like when you're in that setting, when
Yeah.
you're like 4 or 5 bored high school students and you have a whiteboard, and you're like, you know what's a good idea? Let's see if we can actually try and understand this middle out formula.
The fact that was the inspiration as well is fucking fantastic. D2F though, like
I know.
there's so many variables with
Science is
D2F.
there.
Yeah.
You can go
All
anywhere
right.
from Danny DeVito to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the D2F is just
That's what I'm saying. It's each D2F is going to be dependent on, well, a number of things, but we were trying to break that down. We were like, well, you have to factor in different. Oh God, I'm not gonna do this again, but needless to say, we spent way too much time on this.
Are you gonna spend the time sorting them by height, or are you just gonna are you gonna do the
Yeah.
angle method? Like, okay, yeah. Sorry, I could go all night talking about Silicon Valley. I fucking love
my
that.
God. Yeah. No, I think we definitely lost it on like the if it's tip to tip, what's the proper method for jerking off? And at that point, we're just like, we need to do something else. This is ridiculous. But we couldn't stop.
Awesome. Good times. Great memories. That's what I'm talking about.
I think that might be my next reason. And once I get through Always Sunny in Philadelphia, fuck.
Oh man, I need to rewatch that soon.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
I've been binging that on the bus. It's fantastic.
Oh, man. Yeah. Are you just going through like random episodes, or are you
No,
watching
I'm going
it
through
from
the whole
season one?
thing. I started from season 1
Oh,
like
nice.
last Friday. I'm on almost on season 3 now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how fast that one goes by. I got through like the first 4 in like a week and a half. Mind you, I was doing
Yeah.
nothing else. But yeah.
Maybe with my bus rides, I can get through 2, maybe 3 episodes a trip. At that time, I guess.
Right on. All right, you guys ready to get this party rocking?
Yeah. Just Dayman was stuck in my head yesterday. That's all.
Dayman. Oh god.
Okay, I'm good.
Savior of the night, man.
Oh.
Wasn't that I swear they had like that on, or they had that on like Broadway or something, right? Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't Broadway, but I know they had like some kind of
Yeah, they did a play.
theater performance or something.
Yeah, I think that was in season 5. It started out where they tried to do a band.
No, I mean like in real life. Yeah.
Oh, in real life, really?
I
actually,
swear,
no, that
I
sounds
swear they
familiar.
did something like that.
Yeah.
I think they did. I feel like they did. Like they put on a show or a tour or something. And I might just be full of shit, but I remember like seeing that somewhere. I have to look that up later. That would be something else to see that live.